Hey, this is Joe with PreSonus. Today I want to share with you my 4 favorite compressors in Studio One. Number 1 is this beautiful thing, the FET Comp. This one, if you have Studio One, you have this. It's a part of Fat Channel, which is a plugin. This is Fat Channel right here. It's a channel strip, and you can change out the EQs and the compressors that you use. But this is one that is, even if you don't have any of the extra compressors, this is one that comes with Studio One that is delightful. It's snappy, it's punchy, it's got some beefiness to it. You add it to something like a drum mix and it just makes the kick and snare snap a little more and add some thickness and oomph to the bottom end. It's a classic compressor that you need to have in your arsenal. Here's what it sounds like on a drum mix. It's just kissing that kick and snare, making them snap a little bit more, making it feel a little more oomph. I love it. My second favorite is the Classic Compressor. Now, this one isn't included with Studio One unless you become a Studio One Plus member, and then you get access to this plus all these other compressors in your account. This one is wonderful. So you'll notice by looking at it, it doesn't have as many controls as other compressors, but the sound of it is really great. So you've got a threshold to dial in when compression starts happening. Here's your makeup gain. Here's your recovery, which is another word for release. And there's kind of an under the hood, a couple of algorithms that work. I tend to set this to 100 milliseconds, and then you've got ratio. What you'll notice is not here is any sort of attack setting. The attack is kind of built in to the way the compressor works, so you either like the sound of the attack or you don't. Sometimes it's perfect, sometimes it's not, but when it is perfect, it's pretty special. Again, I really like this one on drums. Let me play it for you on a drum mix. Similar to the other one, it adds some beefiness to it. It's pretty snappy sounding. My guess is it's a pretty quick attack. But it just, when you get it in that right spot, it really does just kind of grab on and almost sound a little bit like a limiter in the way it kind of stops things from coming through. But if you dial it in just right, it can be really good on drums. My third favorite is Tube Comp. This is another one that comes with Studio One. So Studio One out of the box has the standard compressor, Tube Comp, and the FET Comp included. Then if you get Studio One Plus, you get all these extras which are worth exploring. But Tube Comp is no slouch. It's got super simple controls. There's basically input and output, how much compression is happening, and then what's the overall output of the system. But man, does it sound cool. I love it especially on bass guitar and background vocals. So if I have a bunch of background vocals, like, 4/8 tracks like I tend to do, this is a great way to glue them all together and have them kind of sit right where I want them to. Here's what that sounds like. It's just got this glue element that I love. And number 4 is just Compressor, the stock compressor in Studio One. For years, this was the only compressor I used because A, I'm a little lazy, and B, I just have this minimalist kick sometimes where I just want to use the tool in front of me, and it works well. So I've used this one on everything in hundreds of mixes, and it works great. It's real simple, it's real transparent, but it's pretty flexible as far as what you can do. So for example, here's a drum mix that I'd like to put some compression on. But what I want to do is have it compressing more so just the snare, but not the kick. And we can do that with this compressor because it has this built-in sidechain section. So if I come in here and I hit filter and I hit listen, I'm now listening to what the compressor is listening to, and I can roll off the low frequencies so it's no longer listening to the kick drum. And if I really want to hone in on just the snare, I can roll off the highs too. So now that's what the compressor listens to. We don't have to listen to that garbage anymore, but then we can adjust the compressor settings and it will compress the entire drum kit, but only based on listening to essentially the snare. It's a really cool functionality. And so we can see, okay, the kick is still grabbing it a little bit. This is not going to be a perfect solution. Let's listen to that again. Let's roll off more low end to get less of the kick in there. Now that's just all snare. Let's see what that sounds like. Super interesting, right? That could be really useful if you've only got a drum mix, or your drum mix is perfect, but you really just want to tame the snare, but the snare is coming through on the snare track and then the overheads and the room mics, and you just want everything that the snare is touching to get some... This is perfect for that. So that's just one little example, but you can do all kinds of things. For years, before Studio One had a built-in de-esser plugin, I used Compressor as a de-esser. I just set it up like this. I had it listening to only the stuff above like 2K and then compressing based on that, and it worked great. So it's one of my favorite. It's like a utility knife, a Swiss Army knife of mixing tools, and I'm super glad to have it in my arsenal. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you see here, we've got a lot more videos on our channel. Be sure to check it out and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.